So in part two, what I intend to achieve is just to discuss how it might play out for an import dependent country and one that is of a fixed exchange rate system. I didn't want the video to be too long, so I had to cut it into two. So apparently, when you're obviously not having a diversified economy and you have you're import dependent as well, it could have more telling impact on inflation and other macroeconomic indicators than if you weren't. So when there is a shock on the commodity or this, most times it's commodities that countries depend on to run the economy, and you want to diversify from hinging on those commodities or relying so much on them. So when you're not diversified in that sense, or your economy is not diversified in that sense, and you are also import dependent. Now, what happens is that when the commodity the prices fall, it's not only going to affect revenues, but it will also affect reserves, like I explained before. And so when you're also running a fixed exchange rate system, you require a huge amount of reserves so that you can intervene in the market to keep your exchange rates stable. So when you have a dip in prices, and that also translates to a dip in foreign reserves in your economy, the problem with that is that the central bank or the Federal Reserve Bank of that country might not be able to intervene as it would do if there was a boom or prices of those commodities were high. So in that sense, the currency will be forced to depreciate. So when the currency depreciates, and if the country is also import dependent, what it means is that the exports in that country will become cheaper, but imports will become more expensive. So for an import dependent country, what obviously would happen is that domestic prices will go up, because a lot of what is sold domestically are imported goods. So because you have to use more of the domestic currency to exchange for foreign currency in order to transact and get goods into the economy by way of import, that would affect the prices in the domestic market in the local currency as well. So in that sense, you could have what we call a borrowed inflation in most of these countries. So that's something, and it's something I've also stressed about, the fact that inflation is a tax on the poor. So it reduces your purchasing power. So obviously, when you have this design in terms of not having economic diversification, being import dependent and running a fixed exchange rate system, a major consequence of that is that you run a high level of inflation, and that reduces the real value of the money in your pocket. So the money in your pocket is not able to buy as much goods as it would have before, and so that affects your ability to purchase and get the kinds of quality of goods that you probably would have got, or the basket of goods that the quantity of goods in the basket that you have gotten before such a shock took place. So that's something to also watch out for as a citizen or as a business person. Whenever you're in an economy that is susceptible to these shocks, you must watch out for the business cycle to ensure that you're able to mitigate them or plan against them so that they don't affect your business or affect your household expenditure in ways that you will not be able to recover from. So this was just the extra bit I wanted to add to the earlier conversation about economic diversification. I hope you find this helpful. Please continue to make comments, continue to engage, continue to like our videos, continue to subscribe, and do stay well and keep safe.